Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Now for today's video, I wanted to talk about a dinosaur that I personally think deserves another appearance in this franchise. Right now, I want to go into detail on why I believe the Indoraptor should come back in a future Jurassic story. Now, before I go any further, I need to make one thing crystal clear. When I say that I think an Indoraptor should come back in a future series installment, I do not mean the same Indoraptor that we saw get killed in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. That animal was specifically a prototype, and its contribution to the story makes sense to have ended during the climax of the film once Owen, Claire, and Blue all engaged with the hybrid on top of the Lockwood Manor. No, what I actually mean when I say that the Indoraptor should return in a future story is that I think the animal is actually a very valuable asset that could lend itself to a lot of interesting lore and world expansion in further exploits. Now in canon, Indoraptor DNA and basically any sort of replication of its cells can be done through the simple retrieval of part of this animal's corpse. If someone out there has the cloning technology and access to genetic material from the dead dinosaur, then it's entirely possible for us to get more clones of it in the future. However, I personally do not think that this should be something explored in a future movie installment in the series. The reason I say this is because I don't really think it's ever a good idea to just recycle ideas or antagonists in a franchise that can be as expansive as Jurassic. Plus, I want each chapter to be original, and I think the idea of dinosaurs in the mainland for Jurassic World 3, as well as the further exploration of more scientifically accurate dinosaurs, is a very fun idea. Now, with that being said, I think the Indoraptor itself could in fact be a great idea to see get expanded upon further in something like a video game, comic book, or maybe even a live-action TV series. In Fallen Kingdom, the Indoraptor was always described as being incomplete. Blue's DNA and empathetic nature was desperately needed by Dr. Wu in order to perfect further clones that would eventually have gone out to the market. This animal was the first in line of what would have been a bioweapon assembly line, essentially something like the Tyrants from the Resident Evil series. Now, if we take a look at some of the behind-the-scenes information that was going on during the development of Fallen Kingdom, we can see that originally, the plan was for there to actually have been 2 Indoraptors that were being kept in the Lockwood Manor at the start of development. J.A. Bayona has described their relationship as being a riff on the biblical story of Cain and Abel from the Old Testament, which, if you know your scripture well enough, you'd figure out that one of these 2 dinosaurs was destined to brutally murder the other. Its current only appearance clocks in at around 12 minutes in length at the end of Fallen Kingdom. Essentially, this is more screen time than what the T-Rex had in the original Jurassic Park, and even what the Indominus had in Jurassic World. Really, the Indoraptor got to be center stage for a lot of Fallen Kingdom. Yet interestingly, I've still heard people say that they would have liked to have seen even more of it. I also need to make a point of the Indoraptor itself, which was basically just a really big raptor that was designed to be a freakish killing machine. This was something of an idea that has been sitting around in Jurassic Park's history for literally decades. During development of the Lost World Jurassic Park, Steven Spielberg toyed with the idea of including what he called the Super Raptor, but eventually shied away from its inclusion in the second movie. The only description that we really have of that animal was that it would have been a little too much out of a horror film and much more alien than what the other animals were in that movie, which, if you watch Fallen Kingdom, seems to really line up with what the director was talking about. I should also briefly mention that the really big red raptor in Trespasser fits this bill as well for a precedence, although from my understanding they just threw that in there because it was all they really had at the last minute. Now, in my humble opinion, horror is something this franchise desperately needs more of. We started to get much more of it in the 5th film, and the gothic tone was a good match for it in the Lockwood Manor, but personally I just feel like we could use some more. While I think venturing into R-rated territory would be a stupid business decision, doing a more hard-edged version of what Fallen Kingdom offered is something of a good move from where I'm standing. If you look back at something like Jurassic Park 3 for comparison, that film sort of suffered from not really having any real hardcore depiction of animal violence that really sells the brutality of what you're seeing on screen. I'm sure younger fans would probably cite Udesky's death as a very graphic one, but in reality reality, I have to disagree due to the fact that we only see his neck get snapped in the most minimalistic of ways. Now, if you compare that to not one, but two deaths in Fallen Kingdom that actually had to be censored in Italian theaters, this is both the death of Eli Mills and Ken Wheatley, I think you get what I'm trying to say. I just think, for more adult audiences, Jurassic could really use more of this sort of suspense. And what better catalyst for the series to explore that with than this genetic creation that it's already built up to personify that feeling. And, since I'm debating it to be outside of a movie, I don't think you'd really have to pay attention to any sort of rating system at all. You would kind of be freed up to do whatever you wanted. Plus, the added benefit of further Indoraptor lore would go a long way in cementing this creation as a formidable asset in the Jurassic World franchise, which I personally think it definitely is. Whether or not this actually happens, I seriously doubt it, but I'm not gonna lie. It's something that I, being a fan of Lost World and its production as well as Trespasser and Fallen Kingdom, it's something I would personally love to see. Now before I go, I'd like to thank all of my game wardens, as well as all of my InGen executives. I'd also like to thank all of my park workers and InGen hunters as well. Guys, it seriously means the world to me that you've all continued to support me the way you do, and I never want you to ever forget that. Now I'd like to thank all of you for watching today's video, and hope you all enjoyed the content. If you feel like I deserve it, I'd appreciate the like and hope that you'll consider subscribing if you're interested in hearing from me again. I'll see you all in the next one, guys, and as always, take it easy.